Welcoming you in here to the Room to Room Weather Center. Let's go ahead and get into that forecast. So single digits for some heading into tonight. That headline alone would be a significant weather story, but coming off of that winter weather impact that we had this weekend, that makes this forecast even more dangerous as thousands of folks are still without power tonight. Well, those single digits, if it's not enough for you, well, wind chills potentially in the negatives for some, especially in those locations where they're still currently without power. So that's where it becomes a dangerous forecast to potentially a life-threatening forecast. And that's our concern tonight. So we're not fully out of the woods just yet. And this high impact event continues to be high impact getting into our Tuesday. Ice will refreeze tonight in some parts, so if those roadways have been a little bit more optimal for you here in North Mississippi, well, beware during that morning commute as some of those bridges could freeze over and some of that freezing rain that has melted off of the trees, all of that moisture on the ground and potentially in the roads will have will refreeze tonight, being how cold these temperatures are. Yes, you are seeing this correctly. This is not a typo. The first 12 shows how cold those temperatures get with 11 degrees by 11, 9 degrees by 2, and we're 8 degrees by 5 a.m. Wind chill values, it's not overly breezy, praise God, but enough to where there is a little bit of a chill dropping these temperatures to the lower single digits, but by then you're still in the single digits. So what does it matter? It is cold enough. It is going to be a frigid forecast. It is going to be a dangerous forecast. The good thing with the forecast, we're going to be clear as we get into our Tuesday, and that'll help melt a little bit more of that ice that's still in North Mississippi. Extreme cold warnings, those are in effect all the way through Tuesday at noon for the entirety of North Mississippi. Northwest Alabama actually under a cold weather advisory, and that is going to be for all of our Northwest Alabama counties. But nonetheless, if you're in our viewing area, this is going to be a time where you want to stay warm, stay alert, stay prepared. It's just going to be a very rough time heading into tomorrow morning, being that temperatures right now are already in the single digits for parts of Corinth, 11 degrees Holly Springs, 10 degrees Senatobia and South Haven, and it's not like it gets any better further south. I mean, 15 degrees Grenada, 17 Tupelo, 19 in Starkville, those would be significantly colder temperatures. It's just overshadowed by the fact we're in single digits already up around the Tennessee state line. So we need to stay prepared, we need to stay updated, and we need to stay safe into tonight. I want to emphasize that over and over and over again because this is air that we have not seen in quite some time. That temperature change, we mentioned that this morning was cold. Well, this morning was cold, but heading into tomorrow morning, we're already seeing that difference with a 4-degree swing in Tunica, 2 degrees New Albany, 2 degrees down around Amory, and 2 degrees there towards Belzona. Don't be off-put by those positive numbers there in the forecast because those will soon become negatives as well as tomorrow morning trends cooler for everybody in North Mississippi. As we take a look there at a Mama Justice Doppler radar, still showing those high pressure conditions, which basically keep everything dry in our forecast, and will continue to do so as we get into that extended pattern as well. But looking on the large scale, you can see that this frontal system up here towards the Canadian air, or up there towards Minnesota and Nebraska as well as Wyoming, that's going to be our next temperature drop. That's going to be heading into this next week. But Matt, we can't overlook what's happening tonight. And looking at that picture behind you makes me even more scared when we're talking about the significant drop.
It's what the icing situation looks like for a lot of people. That we've had so many of them. I'm just trying to generally pull them up when we come up. And more of that ice is going to fall off with a little bit of thawing tomorrow. And then ice falling becomes another one of those hazards. But one thing that has improved this evening is just why I want to pop on here from
Matt, if you want to take this full screen real quick, my batteries have died in my IFB box and I need to get spares.
Okay, yeah,
so
absolutely.
Bear with me one moment while I go do that.
Yeah, give me just a moment here to be able to do that. Actually have it in a way where I think, here we go. I think I should be able to bring it here and change it like that. Okay, talking to folks, things have finally gotten a little better there in Alcorn County. We talked earlier on about how the main TVA transmission line has now been reconnected, and it has now been energized. So heard from folks there up in Corinth. Power has returned in parts of downtown. It might not be all of the area, but progress there. We've finally gone from 100% outages there in the Alcorn County area to at least some people being reconnected. Again, very positive sign, and that is now further proof what we broke during the 6 o'clock broadcast tonight, which is that now that main TVA transmission line has been reconnected, and that will then allow each of these power cooperatives to start turning on more and more of the power. So I appreciate Troy Kimmel, a meteorologist who in Texas, and we've just kind of connected over the years, well connected from Corinth originally, and so passing that along to us tonight. So Gabe, certainly this evening, it is very, very cold, as you can see looking there around the region. We expect it to be a very, very cold night ahead. And so with this dangerous cold, I mean, you have to do everything you can to bundle up, but at least a few more people tonight, Gabe, are a little bit warmer than they were last night. And certainly, well, they're not warmer yet, but coming up later on tonight, they definitely will be. So I'm going to send it back there in the studio to you, Gabe, as again, you're tracking this cold, cold weather on the way again for tonight, right?
Exactly. And Matt, if you don't mind behind the scenes, if you could make this more level, with some technical issues, the batteries never charged like I wanted them to. So add that to the power impacts, but had to take some batteries from the mice. Is that what they're called? The mouses of the computer?
Oh, what? I wonder what was taking so long. Okay.
Yeah, it was a battle over here trying to find resources. But yes, so the Lynx computer currently has no batteries attached to it. So if there's ever anything that happens, I'm fully relying on you back there in the studio.
Okay, I'll keep your microphone open. Okay, but I'll let you keep on going.
Perfect. Well, yeah, so high pressure dominating our forecast getting into tonight and into those overnight hours, but it is the positioning of that high that matters because it's still wrapping around some of that northerly air into North Mississippi, and that's that Arctic air. As we talked about at 6 o'clock, how it feels in Alaska is how it feels down here in North Mississippi because it's pulling in that Arctic air all the way from up north. And that's where those similar feels like values or those similar temperatures are coming from. So by the time we get into Tuesday, 5, 6, even there towards 7 a.m., that's where those temperatures are going to be the coldest. And that's where folks in North Mississippi, I say, are going to be the most susceptible. But honestly, that starts right now with how cold those temperatures are sitting here in North Mississippi. As we get into our Tuesday morning forecast, high pressure still remains in place, and we'll enjoy the effects of that here in the area, meaning we'll be dry, meaning our skies will be mostly clear. And our temperatures will get better by the afternoon. But if we look up here towards the north, that's that cold front that's pushing into North Mississippi. Later on this week, that's going to drop our temperatures once again. So this cold forecast for the start of Tuesday, there will be more days potentially like it by the time we get into the weekend. So we're not fully done with that winter weather, that winter air. It's going to be sticking around into the weekend as well. 6 a.m. I mean, I just can't wrap my mind around that temperature right there. 8 degrees heading out the door at 6 a.m. I'm really glad a lot of folks have canceled school tomorrow, just because I don't want anyone to get out in this dangerous cold and be exposed, whether that be exposed skin or anything like that, to this cold air. Even with winds at about 5 miles an hour, that could be all the difference to drop that to those temperatures close to zero, close to potentially negatives. That's a possibility for our Tuesday morning. 23 by 9 gets better, and by noon, we're sitting above freezing, a temperature we have not seen in about 4 days. So that's how long we've been in this Arctic blast. So finally getting a little bit of relief from that by the afternoon, but relief, unfortunately, is paired with single-digit temperatures for those morning hours. As we talk about here in the next 60, we're going to be discussing more in detail about that cold air pushing into the region, how that trends over the coming days, and why this is such a dangerous setup here in North Mississippi. All of that coming up on Mississippi Live, whether at 10 in the next 60.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
I have been going to Tupelo Smiles my whole life. When I was a kid, I was unhappy about some uneven coloring on my teeth after getting my braces off, which at the time there really wasn't a fix. I was recently made aware of a solution that would totally fix it, which is exactly what we did. They not only heard my concerns, but they never stopped looking to solve my problem, and that's why I love Tupelo Smiles.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, a big question in the chat is how long until we get back to normal? And unfortunately, with air in the teens, it means that those normal conditions are a bit of a ways away. Until we get above freezing, until all of that ice can melt and clear on out and crews can get out there to restore those thousands and thousands and thousands of power outages, that'll A, take time, but B, take warmer temperatures. And we're not getting either of that right now over North Mississippi. Currently sitting in the teens there in Clarksdale at 18 degrees. And yes, those icy conditions still remain in place despite the sunny skies we got today. It cleared off a little bit of it, but the air was still very cold all day long, and that allowed that icy forecast to stick around for today. Fortunately, none was added to it. We stayed dry all day long, so let's take our benefits where we can. But until that temperature climbs, that icy forecast does remain in place. So normalcy seems a couple of days away at least, unfortunately, with this forecast. Tupelo, Tom Bigby restoring power there earlier on. I believe that was over the weekend. And then as we gotten into our Monday forecast, working their way up into northern Lee County. So still getting these lights back on, but glad to see at least some of Tupelo lit up tonight. 18 degrees with those feels like values at 11 degrees. Now, let's take in that margin. Winds, 5 miles an hour out of the southwest. So at 5 miles an hour, we're dropping these temperatures and to those feels like values into about a 7-degree difference. So big thank you to the folks at Mitchell Cunningham and Bowling for providing this shot here, because that tells us that it's going to be feeling much worse than what those temperatures are, and those temperatures are already pretty bad. Speaking of school and things like that we talked about a moment ago, you know, a lot of folks out, and you can of course check that out on our school submissions page, or our school cancellations page on Mississippi Live Weather. But down in Starkville, they're heading to school tomorrow morning, and I'm saying an extra prayer for our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut, because he will have to be walking to class in these frigid conditions in the single digits. 19 degrees there in Starkville right now. Dew point still at 19. That's reassuring heading into tonight, but we do expect both of those numbers to drop, and unfortunately could be in the low teens for that morning commute. So Caleb, bundle up. You're going to wish you did as you get into those 8 a.m.s, because it's a very cold forecast for everyone in Starkville. Now, as we get a look at those current alerts, this is why that extreme cold warning is in place until noon on Tuesday. It's because those temperatures, just unreal. Air that we have not felt since 2025. I know that for sure, since early 2025. I'm actually curious, because I remember it was a very cold day last year, how cold it actually got. And I wish I had the climate sheet right in front of me so I could be able to tell that. But this is very much rivaling that day and may even be colder than that day that we had last year. So this could be a multi-year type day whenever we're talking about our morning lows, but nonetheless, it's a cold pattern. And that's what you guys need to know. Statistics aside, this is a very dangerous pattern that we're in. Also, those cold weather advisories there towards northwest Alabama, those remain in place as well. So since it's getting above freezing tomorrow afternoon, this is Jennifer asking this. So since it's getting above freezing tomorrow afternoon, all the leftover ice should melt tomorrow. Most of it will. So some areas, and we'll see just a second in our high temperatures, are only getting to about 32 to 34 degrees, which it's above freezing, but it takes a little bit to melt that. And so if we get several hours above that freezing mark, and of course every degree matters at that point, then we'll see a good portion of this melt. The unfortunate thing is it melts as water. There's not a ton of wind to dry it up, and it could have the potential to refreeze once again into our Tuesday night as we drop well below freezing once again. So we will see some of it melt tomorrow. All of it? I don't think so. By Wednesday, potentially getting most of it cleared out, and even then I still see some of those lingering impacts into Thursday and Friday. The only thing is single digits only going to be in effect for Tuesday morning, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday trending a little bit warmer. And hey, we'll definitely take it. It's still cold, but not single digit cold, and we'll take any blessing that we can get. As we look at those current temperatures across North Mississippi, again, this is not your normal for this time of year. Normal for this time of year should be in the low 30s. And as you see for parts of Hernando, 12 degrees, Holly Springs, 9 degrees. Well, actually, I think I have them all populated here on the next graphic. Yeah, there you go. So Holly Springs actually around 8 degrees. So it depends on which one you pixel query there. 6 degrees there towards Ripley, 9 in Corinth, 17 Boonville, 18th New Albany, 18 Oxford, 11 in Batesville, 13 Clarksdale. Reason why I'm mentioning those locations in particular is, well, of course, you see them all in purple and that pink, basically showing that it is a significant drop in those temperatures. But a large part of these locations, and we'll see it here in just a moment, are still without power tonight. We're talking thousands of people still without power. And those are just a few of the locations without power. If we go all the way down I-55 and out west, 19 Greenwood, 18 Chula, 18 Cleveland, 20 Hollandale, and 18 there in Grenada. I mean, this is a cold pattern already. Wind chills making it even colder, with some areas reporting already seeing negatives there. towards parts of Marshall, Tippah, and Benton County. So this is a very dangerous forecast because all of this air, if you have no way of heating your home, and we're talking several days now of not being able to heat your home, then the insulation can only do so much, and that cold air will eventually get into the house. And so we've been pushing all night long. Have those layers ready, 4 or 5 layers. I'm not joking when I say that. About 4 or 5 blankets on top of that, huddling together with your family, friends at this point, just anything you can do to stay safe tonight because this air is very dangerous. It's coming off of a winter storm over the weekend that iced out everything along the Tennessee state line, and that leaves a lot of folks vulnerable. There's houses that have been destroyed, and you talk about insulation being a non-factor. Well, if your home's destroyed, insulation's non-existent. And so there's a lot of folks still up there that need help, that are hoping to just stay warm through the night. And we're saying extra prayers for everyone being affected right now that is still without power, because this is just a very, very bad look when we're looking across North Mississippi and temperatures are already in the teens and feels like values are already in the single digits and for some parts negatives. So as we look at some of those power outages, and I know it's a lot of colors going on here, but you can see at the top of the screen that legend highlighting how many power outages there are in the county. And it's based off a percentage, and anything red or higher, that's over 50% across the county. And you can see a lot of locations in red. And one of those in particular, Oxford, we're talking 71.5%, basically 72%. Benton and Tippah County, which we just saw, were in the negatives a moment ago. Over 90% of the people in both of those counties are still without power tonight. So that you talk about feeling in the negatives, without power, without any source of heat. It is not a good situation. And so that's why we've been saying potentially life-threatening tonight, pushing the fact that it's going to be a high-impact night. We hope that you have listened to those reasons to prepare, and that you are in a warming shelter, or you have gotten a generator or some source of heat for those nighttime hours. We talk about Greenwood still coming in with about 71.5%, Grenada 55.5%, so those numbers are falling back just a bit. But honestly, I wish these numbers were at 0 whenever we're talking about temperatures this cold, because of how impactful those are about to be. So please stay safe. Please, if you are in any of these counties that still have any colors showing up, and that's still a large portion of Mississippi, and not just North Mississippi, we're talking everywhere in Mississippi, even in Louisiana, even in Texas, that cold air just plummeting those temperatures and going to leave a lot of folks exposed and at risk whenever we're talking about this dangerous cold. We've already seen multiple lives lost due to hypothermia, and we don't want to lose any more to that, but that's a realistic possibility if we have not prepared for these temperatures tonight. Our Mama Justice Doppler radar at least giving us one blessing, and that is that it is dry. No added precipitation expected in this forecast, so no freezing rain or rain making those impacts anymore. So I saw some folks asking in the chat, are we done with the systems? Yes, and we'll see that in the 7-day a little bit later on, but we are not tracking any significant moisture in the forecast. Our only threat continues to be these temperatures. And looking at that trend overnight, we're talking about just a significant decrease from what it should be around this time of year, around 8 degrees from 3 a.m. all the way up until 6 a.m. And then we'll start climbing, but not reaching above freezing until 10 a.m. So you're exposed for a long period of time. So just please prepare, please get to where you need to be. And if you know anyone at risk, I wish you could be able to get up there, but roads are just still awful with this refreeze that's happening of any of those areas that have since thawed off a bit. I mean, all of that's just going to refreeze on the roads tonight with that significant drop in temperatures. So wouldn't recommend driving up there at all. Highway 72 still basically iced over tonight, and so we want you guys to stay off the roads. But that's why we're saying, prepare this afternoon, because it was slightly warmer. Even then, it was only the upper 20s. As we get into our future cast Tuesday morning, you can still see those clear conditions overnight. And as we get into our Tuesday morning forecast, still going to be clear. And that's what allows for the cooling to take place. So lets that heat that we've got today escape out of the atmosphere and leaves us with this cold pattern overhead. But those low temperatures, just unreal to look at for our Tuesday morning. 8 degrees in Boonville, 7 in Corinth, 6 Holly Springs, 6 in South Haven, and 9 Senatobia, Water Valley, 10 Grenada, 11 Greenwood, 12 Belzona. I mean, you get the message. It's going to be well below our average. Our average, 34 degrees. Yeah, we're 20 degrees off of that. So that's how significant this drop is. Luckily, not our record. There's another blessing in the forecast. That record, -14, set in 1940. Whew. never going to be envious of 1940. Golly, that is a cold, cold temperature. Now, wind chill values showing negatives in some spots, but if we're talking just the overall NDFD model, 0 in South Haven, 2 Holly Springs, 6 in New Albany. We've already seen some lower values across the northern half of the state, right along the Tennessee state line. So wind chill values, they will vary through the night, but nonetheless, it's already cold enough to where we need to take those precautions. As we get into our Tuesday morning, at least the skies continue to stay beautiful with that sunshine peeking through the clouds, and even those clouds, high-end cirrus clouds, are not going to be blocking too much of our sky, allowing that sunshine to shine on through and make for a beautiful forecast, especially by the afternoon when we climb above freezing. We'll look at those temperatures here in just a moment. But let's keep looking at our future cast right here and just continue to take in those dry conditions that we're enjoying. Definitely a positive with this forecast for sure, but high temperatures, like we were talking about a moment ago, getting into the low 40s. Now, this will do damage when we're talking about clearing off that ice, and that's a damage in a positive way because it's not going to be a factor in our forecast for some of us for too much longer. I mean, 32 South Haven, that's where I would worry about, how much is actually going to melt there, northwest Mississippi, but with the sunshine also in the forecast, temperatures in the low 40s, we will definitely see a significant chunk of ice being knocked off of North Mississippi. Praise God. Been long enough. As we keep our future cast moving through our Tuesday night and Wednesday morning, there is going to be some moisture in the air. This cold front moving through the area, allowing for that moisture to stick around, but this moisture not going to be your typical moisture, not going to be any rainfall or any snow or any freezing rain or anything like that. But as we get into our Wednesday morning, you can see how that moisture lingers into the forecast. That's going to be primarily in the form of fog, and we're getting that all across North Mississippi. And we'll look at temperatures here in just a moment, but as we look at this right here, fog right up I-55, right along Highway 6, and well north into the Tennessee state line. That's where we'll see some patchy fog for that Wednesday morning commute. And why it becomes more of a hazard is because these are the low temperatures paired with that fog. That's a point where we call freezing fog, and that's going to be a legitimate concern for our Wednesday morning commute. Potentially icing over those roadways or just icing up the windshield too, also a possibility. It's just something we want to take a precaution for. And if you don't have to get out in the fog, wouldn't recommend it. But I know that, work and school still are a potential for a large part of North Mississippi. So just be safe heading out the door Wednesday morning. As we keep that Wednesday moving on, you can see how that fog burns up. Look at by 9 a.m., we're still having a good chunk of that cloud cover, but watch from 9 to noon. I'll let this kind of do the talking there. Oh, wait, it's not going to show as much. This is another model, so it has a little bit more of that chunk of cloud cover, but nonetheless, we'll see that all kind of burn up. Here you're getting a better view of it by that afternoon hour. Apologies there. I thought it was still the same model from earlier that I was going to rev it up and, kind of have that drop the mic moment. No, not this time. 3 p.m., as we get into that Wednesday afternoon, you still see that partly cloudy sky in place, and that fog will have burned up by then. By then, we're just talking about dry conditions and a few clouds up there in the sky. So not a bad forecast whatsoever to wrap up our Wednesday. It's just going to be that foggy start to the day that we need to be concerned about. Now, as we take a look at those high temperatures, Wednesday continue to trend in the right direction, and this will hopefully take off the last little bit of that ice in the forecast, especially up there towards Boonville, Corinth, and Iuka, as we're sitting in the upper 30s and low 40s. So a little bit of a sense of normalcy back into the forecast, hopefully by Wednesday and really by Thursday with that warmer air still in place. But if we look at these high temperature trends, we're talking low 40s Tuesday all the way through Thursday. Friday, our high temperatures top out close to that freezing mark, and Saturday, below freezing once again. So that's what we're talking about. That Arctic air is not done with us just yet, and we'll move back into the forecast by this weekend. And that's evident with our high temperatures, but also look at these low temperatures. I'll let it populate in. Yeah. 8 degrees Tuesday morning, back into the upper teens Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, we're sitting in about 10 and 11 degrees, respectively. So this is a very cold pattern, a very abnormally cold pattern. So winter definitely leaving its mark and making a high impact event even higher impact as we get into our Saturday and Sunday, but honestly, as we get into our Tuesday as well. So looking through a few of these comments, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, just saying a prayer for anybody. I just want you guys to make sure that you guys are praying for every individual that is going to be affected by this setup, because there are still thousands without power tonight. Here in Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, working its way all along that line through those overnight hours. So anyone that's asking about what's going on at the forecast with anything in regards to freezing rain or snow or sleet, it is going to be a dry pattern. If we look at that 7-day forecast, not a chance of rainfall. all week long. So we're staying beautiful, we're staying clear, we're staying dry, we're staying sunny in some days. There is a potential for a flake as this frontal boundary pushes on through, but no accumulating totals, just kind of, a flake here, flake there, but those chances are about 10%, so not going to be the case for everybody. But we do hope everyone stays safe tonight and stays as warm as possible. And with anyone, I see that Brenda's saying I had many quilts and covers on me, but my nose felt frozen in my hands. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys something. Every piece of skin that you can cover is essential. And one of the things that I got last winter weather event that has done a number in regards to keeping me warm whenever these cold temperatures were here and we did not have power was one of those like gaiters that you can put over your mouth and your nose. The exposed areas that usually are going to be exposed no matter what you wear. You can kind of put that on and put it over both, and then you breathe out and it kind of puts heat all across your face, except your eyes because you have to see. But that has been a game changer, and wearing a beanie on top of it. So all that you have exposed is basically this area right here. That's as good as you're going to get. Wear some gloves, wear a scarf by that point. And honestly, when you go to sleep, just pull that all the way up and cover your eyes because your eyes are closed anyway, and it'll keep you warm. But anything you can do to stay warm, trust me, it might look a little silly, but it's keeping you warm, and that's what matters. So I think I posted a video yesterday night talking about the cold temperatures. I was wearing Mississippi State gaiter and a Kansas beanie, and someone said rock chalk. Appreciate that. But yeah, it kept me warm. So I looked goofy, but it definitely did its job. So tonight, let's stay safe. And of course, looking at the chat, power back for some. That's a big part of the forecast. Let me go back here on a power outage map because I think we overlooked this without giving it enough credit. Power companies have been out trying to get these power outages down. I mean, when we're talking about the grand total of these power outages, well over 100,000 outages across Mississippi. So if we're talking about it now, I mean, the percentages have definitely backed up off. We're still seeing a few purples down there towards the Chula area in Holmes County, 94%, and then 96%. Let me back off of there real quick so you can get a visual. Greenwood, we're still getting about 83% around Carroll County. And then if we look at Yalobusha, Grenada, 55 to 58%. That number earlier on, it was in the purple, so well over 90%. So seeing that back off just a bit. Benton and Tippah County, definitely seeing those numbers are a bit of a concern because we're over that 90% line. And so, they're doing what they can. I did see that Tippah County wasn't able to send out electric employees or linemen and women until today, I believe, out of precaution. If I'm wrong about that, correct me, but I've been trying to scroll social media to keep updates on those power companies, and I think that's what they said. So that's why that number is still pretty high, is because they've only had one day to get those done. And it's because conditions have just been so dangerous. Our linemen and women, we also often look at them like, I guess, robots of like, hey, get out there and fix the line. Like, no, they're people too. They're susceptible to the conditions too, and they need to stay safe as well. And, we want to make sure they're safe on top of everybody in North Mississippi staying safe in all of this just mess that we're in right now.
Well, and you mentioned Tippah County. Tippah County, again, warming shelter there that they have put in place at Tippah County Fairgrounds. There are a lot of those. Our partners at the North Mississippi Storm Chasers have really done a very excellent job keeping a list of the warming shelters out there, and they've kept it updated. Here in a moment, I'll see if I can dump that into the chat, because I should have thought ahead about that after I mentioned the Tippah County thing. But there's just the warming shelters in particular. They are there. If you need assistance, please call, and it's possible that people will be able to try to get to you. But tonight at this time, it's going to be difficult. If you think you're in a position where you think you're not going to make it, you think you could suffer from hypothermia or something like that, please do not hesitate to call 911. But understand, if you make that call, it could be hours, honestly, before they can make it to you. So that if you think your life is in danger, please take that step. But after tonight, there will be more warming shelters in Tishomingo County. There's a lot of these places where you can charge your phone and do that kind of stuff as well, assuming you can get through on the roads, which I know has been a struggle.
Yeah, and the refreeze potential tonight, just going to basically whatever damage our tires did earlier today, melting it. Do what?
Yeah, you're locked in. I mean, you're up there in Tippah, Alcorn County, where you also had kind of that sleet to go along with the freezing rain. That means the roads that were at one point, they could kind of crushed in the sleet. Now with the heating today and the sun we had today, and it wasn't much, but now you have a glaze on top, and it's actually probably icier tonight than it was last night in some of those spots. And
that was one of the things that I was talking about with Annalise earlier, saying if it was 2 degrees colder in Tupelo, we're looking at the exact same setup as what they have up north, and things could have been a lot worse. So that's where the areas that have power tonight, the areas that are looking good, and I see that, Lee County still has a few outages, Itawamba County still has a few outages, but like Monroe, Clay, and Lowndes County definitely looking much better, and actually no outages to be reported so far, which we can of course look behind the scenes to better assess that. But nonetheless, those counties that have since been cleared, definitely just consider your blessings and be grateful, because there's a lot of folks that are wishing to be in those shoes and just hoping that this dangerous cold isn't going to get to them tonight. But Matt, you're exactly right. Call 911. Get help. Don't think you can make it through these single-digit temperatures if you don't have any source of heating. I'm talking about any source of heating, because we tried to last night. You saw how cold it got at the Manor House.
And you're young and fit. Let's be crystal clear. You're young and fit. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying that it is going to be the youngest and the oldest that suffer from things more quickly. If you're well fed, well hydrated, the odds are more in your favor than obviously if you're not. I do want to go over some of the more accurate power outage maps, because one of the things that shows that makes it look better than it is in some spots. I mean, we still have listen. Tom Bigby has done a great job of trying to reduce power outages. But checking their map, they still have about 2,000 out, and considering that at this time last night, I think there were about 6,000, a little less than 6,000. That is a huge improvement, but still some spots of people there that they're going to have to work on, and a lot of singles, a lot of spots where they have those singles. So things are improving, but it is a gradual improvement. Fort County is again continuing to get better. Their outages continue to go down with only about 1,500 folks at this point. 1,500 customers at this time. That just shows you how incredible it's been. And Natchez Trace Electric Power Cooperative, we're looking at about 2,100 there. They've gotten most things back on in Chickasaw County, quite a few in Calhoun, but Webster County, we have not mentioned enough. You were kind of on that far edge where it wasn't freezing rain the whole time, but I've seen some really rough looking shots there from Webster County through the day, many of which were sent in using our Mississippi Live Weather app. I want to see if they're kind of close to the top. Give me a moment here as I get kind of refresh this, make sure we've got the most recent. And I'm going to set this, give me a moment here where I put 50 per page, because there's one I had up earlier on. So give me a moment to kind of check and see if I can find it there. It's from Walthall, which was just completely frozen over in the shot there. And you guys have sent in so many that going back to try to find, if you see a water tower as I'm going through here, Gabe, you just yell out, hey, water tower, because I know it's got to be close here, because I remember that picture. Oh, this is why you don't do this live on TV, because finding the exact one can be hard. Oh, well. Oh, duh, Gabe, why am I not smart? Because
you can put it for the exact county.
Yeah, we go to the map. Let's go to the map and go to Walthall. And where we go? There's Eupora. Am I too far north? No, it should be.
It's right. It should be right there.
There we are. Okay. Maybe I have to go back farther than 24 hours.
It's been a multi-day event at this point. It probably was from earlier on.
I don't know. I mean, well, either way, this is Webster County, right? That's not good. I mean, that's a lot of leaning trees and I mean, frankly, scary stuff. Let's see here, a few others. I mean, cars iced over. It doesn't look like it's logged in. Let's load it in all of them there. Oh well. But either way, we haven't talked probably enough about some of the folks there in Webster County.
Which Entergy as well. Do you have their map? Oh, there it is.
I do. It makes me log in again every time I pull it up. And again, we also, I mean, that's just very substantial number. I mean, sure, my eyes are drawn back there to Louisiana, but you know, folks all around Greenwood, Yazoo City, all up and down, you know, I-55 there toward Grenada, largely still out. Some parts of Winona are back, some parts of Durant are back, but you know, just large swaths of the area. I mean, without power and these outlying areas, it's just going to take a long period of time. In and around the Delta, North Mississippi. I mean, it's a substantial swath of people still out at this time. Tishomingo County, though, glad to finally see, you know, some some restoration for a few folks today. We do expect those numbers to go down more tomorrow than where they have. And then I don't know for sure that this map is fully updating, but we do have, I think, a slightly lesser number there up in Prentiss County. And hopefully getting that main line back open will make a difference for tomorrow. Tippah County is looking, well, I mean, still the majority of folks, at least on this map, are still showing up out. I'm going to refresh that one more time just to double check. Yeah, I mean, still the majority of folks there in Tippah County's area, especially in Tippah County, are still out. I know I have Alcorn County in here we'll get to in a minute, but Tallahatchie, they're down to 8,000 members that are out of power at this point. And this is Alcorn County, which has been very, very rough, but we're finally at a point where we are under 100% outages, and that's a huge difference. Some folks, as we mentioned toward the top of the show, finally get power back there in the Corinth area. So anyway, Gabe, did not mean to go completely down that
you're
tangent.
good. Do you have Pontotoc too? By chance, I saw someone asking about it.
I thought I had it there. Did I miss it? Here we are. Thank you. Let's refresh it. Yeah, I know, 12,000. I mean, and just a lot around Pontotoc as well. It's just an ice storm like this, from just a logistical standpoint, while they prep for it. I was talking to the emergency manager up in Tishomingo County, and she's like, we prep for it. Every year we say, what is the thing that is the biggest potential impact? We're getting tornadoes more often, but it's an ice storm. And she's like, I know for sure when we get our surveys next year that'll be the case. So hopefully soon, again, you can join the conversation on this here on our Facebook chat. We appreciate all folks who have done that, but just a lot more power outages there to deal with. And it's going to take a while. There was someone's asking about Oxford. I thought that one might have got moved at some point on here. Give me a second. I'm going to have to, I think, bring, that one might have got closed. So give me just a second. Lafayette County. And this is Northeast Electric Power Association, covering the Oxford area. And let me see, outage map. Better, but man, that's
well, Oxford's impossible to drive through.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. One of the things that made Oxford just so incredible, of course, all the trees and everything. It's going to look different there. I have not seen. Have you seen any pictures of the Grove, Gabe, coming out yet?
No, but I think the significant story there is the fact that they're out till Monday, like next Monday.
And which when you think about it, is just incredible that a Division I, a Division I school is out for, a week, and a week after the fact, and they know it now will be a week. Mm-hmm. It's one thing when you do it day to day during, a typical, what I would say is a typical icing event here in North Mississippi, but you're a full week. On day one, they knew we need to go a week. That's substantial. So,
but you talked to the mayor. Is there any update in regards to what she has that you talked about yesterday that maybe some folks missed in the broadcast about the recovery?
I mean, they had crews coming in from Memphis to start helping out. I know for a fact that is on the target list from MEMA and the governor and on all those folks. And we were talking about it in the press conference earlier today. But, we cannot skip past the issues in Grenada, Water Valley, Winona, Kilmichael, Greenwood. I mean, there's a lot of other folks out there. I think, again, Oxford has some major issues, but there's been a lot of folks asking about Panola County, right next door, that also has similar issues, maybe not for everybody, but we haven't mentioned Union County hardly at all. It's just one of the things that's hard to get your brain wrapped around. I mean, I've talked to a lot of the emergency managers in the far northeast part of the state, but there's just a me, there's just a you, and it takes a while to get out and get more information. I can just say this: I know in all cases they are working as hard as they can, and we are hopeful that restoration will come soon.
I think that Union County. So my mom-in-law, she lives over there in Union County, and her power got restored about 11:30 a.m. And I mean, there's still a good chunk of people. I mean, she was one of the few, and so she's very grateful and fortunate. But one of the few that New Albany gas, light, and water was able to get to. So we're hopeful that that can continue to trend down as we get into the next couple of days. But we were hoping for as many as possible heading into tonight, knowing what tonight would consist of. And Matt, you know, it's
it's not like any of the nights the rest of the week are that much better. That's the problem. I mean,
yeah, we're talking
they're
about 18 degrees being a summer vacation compared to tonight, but it's just a slight increase. And, you know, we'll take anything we can get when we're talking about 8 degrees tomorrow morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Gabe, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up here. I'll send it back to you full to finish up the show.
Well, perfect. Well, speaking of those cold temperatures, our meteorologist Maggie McCauley will be live in the morning show at 6:37 and 7:30. So make sure to download that Mississippi Live Weather app to tune into her broadcast and stay updated on what's to come. That broadcast is at 6:37 and 7:30. And again, she'll be tracking those cold temperatures while she's in the middle of those cold temperatures. So we want to make sure that you guys stay informed, stay prepared, and stay warm, stay safe. Guys, we want to see everybody as we get into tomorrow morning as warm as possible. And yeah, just stay safe tonight. We're saying extra prayers. And, you know, Matt, I know we've been praying throughout this whole event, and I feel like tonight is just as applicable as, you know, the nights that we've been experiencing heading into the winter storm. You know, we prayed in advance of that.
Do you want me to do it?
Oh, do what?
Do you want me to do it?
If you want to do it, I mean, hey, your prayers have been working. Everyone's been staying as safe as possible. So let's keep it rocking.
Okay. Absolutely. Dear God, there's some people in trouble at night, and be with them, comfort them in this time, guide them to make wise choices. If they realize this is a situation that they don't think they can survive, God, give them the humility to call for help. Give first responders the ability to get there in time. Whatever their situation, be with our first responders that are tired and exhausted from helping folks, but still so willing to do as much. God, give us all the willingness and spirit to help one another and be with one another. God, I know that you are taking care of us even in this situation, but God, I pray that you just you bring peace and quick restoration in this situation, and just be with these folks and just help us to be more willing, very willing to help our neighbors in this time. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. Well, we are going to see every single one of you tomorrow morning at 6:37 and 7:30. Matt, thank you so much. And, you know, God bless you all, and stay warm tonight. We'll see you there.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.
Oziesco, wind chill values actually dropped these temperatures a few degrees, and we're feeling at 0 in South Haven, 2 Holly Springs, 3 in Corinth, and 5 degrees there towards Greenwood. So folks, it's a cold forecast. It's a dangerous forecast, but fortunately, if there is any benefit with this forecast, is it is dry. Looking at that futurecast, you can see those southwesterly winds moving into North Mississippi, giving us those dry conditions. A few cirrus clouds up there in the sky, but no rainfall, no snow going to be attached to it. So we are in for a great afternoon forecast, not just because it's dry, but also because temperatures do get better by those afternoon plants. So the single digits don't last forever. We will get better as the day goes on. By the time we get towards our Tuesday afternoon, 40 degrees is our high temperature. Wednesday, 42 degrees with lows still in the upper teens. That's where we'll sit for Thursday as well. But then Friday, Another cold front moves through the area, making it right around freezing for those afternoon high temperatures. Beyond that, Saturday and Sunday, we drop back into the low teens with potentially single digits back in the forecast. We're talking latest details on that forecast on Mississippi Live weather at 6:37 and 7:30 with meteorologist Maggie McCauley for the very latest on that forecast ahead.
Out with the old and in with the new. It's time to save big at Room to Room's New Year's sale. Store-wide markdowns 50 to 70% off. No tax, 48-month special financing. It's a new year at Room to Room Furniture in Tupelo. There's no place like home.